guys, more than ever, I think a perspective to have that I try to, talk about in the Discord, and I post a lot of research about AI and economics, is that we live in exponential times, okay? This is a really important perspective to have, that we live in exponential times. If you had a swimming pool, right? And you were putting flowers in that swimming pool, and the amount of flowers doubled every day. This is a great question to ask people when they don't understand what exponential, times means. If you have a swimming pool and you're putting in a flower every day and the flowers double every day, how many days is it going to take, before the swimming pool is half full? And the answer is actually 29 days. And on the 30th day, you get another basically 50% of progress towards 100% of the swimming pool. And that's exponential. That's what we're talking about with exponential times, where the 30th day can be that much more progress than the first 29 days, or equivalent to, which is crazy when you think about it. But that's the type of literally times that we're living in right now. And that means that AI voice models, image models, video models, text models, AI's ability to reason, AI's ability to even create. What's fascinating to me is AI's ability to handle language. So we will be able to, very, very soon, like within 5 years, talk to animals like dogs and cats. I think there will be some pretty mainstream products for owners of animals to talk to their pets. So that's exponential in terms of what products are the AI is capable of, and that's going to come out. But nevertheless, with language, what's fascinating to me is we are actually still discovering new capabilities that the AI has. We don't just immediately know when a new AI model is trained what its capabilities are. You can fine-tune a model towards a specific goal or end task, but it may also be learning how to do something else really well. And if you're not measuring for that, you may never know. So all the time, AI models are basically, scientists are discovering that they have capabilities that are emergent, that are not, previously what were aimed for. It just so happened that it happened. Anyway, with language, I think that AI, one of the dangers of AI is that it may develop its own language that we cannot comprehend, and it may use that to speak to itself in a network-based fashion. So, just some deep thoughts on AI. I think the other thing that's coming up that people need to keep an eye on is quantum computing, and the ability for a quantum computer to basically handle calculations, that would take a normal computer years in seconds. And doing that with AI, like, what does that mean? Quantum AI, where we have quantum computers that can calculate every atom and molecule in the universe and then run that with an AI model. Where is that going to get us? We could potentially discover new drugs, new ways of treating, sickness and illness. We could develop new materials with material science. There's so many possibilities. We could re-examine physics, because the way that we think about physics is not actually how nature operates when you get to the subatomic level, the particle level. And quantum computers can actually help run the experiments to prove out the rest of physics, which is insane to think about. And they've been commercially available, I think, almost for a decade now, which is crazy. And certain companies are getting really good with them. So you have IBM, you have Google, you have a Canadian company called D-Wave, and I'm sure Microsoft wants in if they aren't already building their own. What people really need to think about is that the AI, the quantum computers, by the way, quantum computers have to run at temperatures so cold that even space isn't that cold. It's magnitudes of temperature colder than space, which is crazy. And to run that, you have to spend a lot of energy. And what people don't really think about with AI and quantum computing coming up is the extent, the amount of energy that's going to be needed and continuously needed, which is going to entice people to look at nuclear energy again. I think that's what Microsoft is doing, considering building nuclear power plants for AI. And you know, the CEO of OpenAI, Sam Altman, is publicly going on record telling people that he needs compute power and he needs the energy to be able to handle that compute power. And he wants, you know, these massive data centers to coincide with large energy infrastructure projects. And people are going to realize how important, you know, that those energy projects are going to be, and it's going to be of national security interest. And that's the crazy thing. AI, quantum computing is no longer just a technology industry, it is a national defense industry. So the United States is going to have a version of technology that China will have a version of, and they won't speak to each other. Guys, what I was saying is that the race is on to be the AI supremacist and the quantum computing supremacist. It's the United States versus China, guys. And this is the new world order, you know what I mean? What's really funny is that China still has a lot of mishaps, like one of their nuclear submarines seemingly has sunk, you know, at the pier that it's being built on. I think that's hilarious, but I don't think we should underestimate China, because the amount of money they're putting against a lot of the projects, like the quantum computing projects. The United States just does not match China in terms of dollars that the government is putting into startups and research. And I think that's also an area of national defense that we really should think about. And come the election, you should think about that too, for who you're going to go for, you know what I mean? The United States must lead the world in AI. It would be a dystopian future, a way more dystopian future, to let China lead the world in AI. And you know, that's something of massive strategic importance, and that people should really think about on a daily basis as we move forward into 2027 to 2030, which I think is the most dangerous time period for the world coming up. Remember, with exponential times, that means exponential progress. And by 2027, that's 3 years away. That's a lot of progress that's going to be condensed into those 3 years. Yeah, the shifts are so good. It's like boom, boom, just comes down. We went from 8th to 6th, and it's never been that fast, honestly. Hopefully you guys can see the heads-up display navigation directions. It's pretty cool. Starting in iDrive 8, you could also get the CarPlay functionality integration in the heads-up display, where you would see maps from Apple Maps and the turn-by-turn. But this is the factory nav, and honestly, they've updated it for iDrive 8.5 to be more colorful. And I think it's faster overall. iDrive 8.5 compared to 8.0 is much snappier. Yeah, 5th to 6th, that was instant. A little bit more rain here. You can definitely still feel the car though. And that's what it's about, which is really feeling the traction. Have to know the car, have to know the traction. Yeah, the shifts are beautiful with XHP, they really are. Not as much rain here. Maybe we can enjoy the tunnel, guys. Let's see. Oof, someone took that exit at the last second. That was crazy. Oh my God. Oh, oh. Yeah, that felt different. Oh yeah, 4th to 5th even there. Bam. Instant. There is a little bit more weight to the downshift. Feels amazing. Yeah, I highly recommend a custom XHP tune, guys. Look, you even get an actual map on the heads-up display, which is pretty cool, showing you the turn. Still in second gear, guys. It's holding it. Oh, yeah, that sounds nice. The car already is an animal, and XHP just adds a little sauce, you know? And it just sharpens it up so much. The decrease in time, the shift times is noticeable. Even though the ZF 8-speed is already fast, this, it's like bang. And that was all-wheel drive. It's dry out, so we'll go to rear-wheel drive. What a fun car, guys. XHP makes it, turns it up. Turns it up a notch for sure. Like I said, the CS is like a half step up. This is like a full step up. And I'm not fully punching it. I've tried to give it a kick, but still tame it a little bit. And so over 3 revisions, I've been modifying a lot of the custom settings, and I feel like I'm getting very close, if not right there. Especially in rear-wheel drive, you can feel the car a lot. It's very playful. And I think rear-wheel drive can tell you more about your settings than all-wheel drive when you're customizing XHP. sounds great echoing against the walls. Oh yeah, the shifts, oh my god, like that was, the shifts are amazing. That was butter. When it snapped, I could predict on the CS tune like maybe like a third of a second. This is definitely a much sharper transmission tune now, guys. All right, I hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you next time.